Welcome back to another episode of the 2 Alpha Talk. This time we're going to talk about should you keep a round in the chamber or shouldn't you? Back in my day when I first started about 25 years ago, I didn't have a round in the chamber. And I started carrying, not realizing because I haven't taken any training courses, that I need to keep around the chamber to cut that time down of reaction time. So later on, after taking some training courses for some excellent guys, then I started keeping one in the chamber because my draw was a lot faster. My first reaction time on my first round was a lot faster, and I can just maneuver and get things off a little bit more quicker to save my own skin, but somebody else's.
My experience with this is that I came on in firearms as a police officer, and as a police officer, we were taught right from the very beginning with revolvers that you have to have a loaded firearm. When you realize it, it's an old adage where you put a seatbelt on right before an accident. So you're driving along, when you realize you're impending doom, you're not going to be able to put a seatbelt on fast enough. It's the same thing with a firearm. You're not going to be able to chamber it around. And I know some guys out there, and I know one in particular who I debate with on a regular basis about chambering around, and he's pretty fast with it. But he's dedicated at doing it. He does it all the time. He practices it. If you're not that dedicated and you're not going to put that kind of work into being that efficient, you need to learn to put a round in chamber. Most modern firearms have safeties, whether they're built in or external, that allow you to holster the firearm, and as long as you don't touch it, it's not going to go off. The trigger is the key, and the muzzle. When you draw the weapon, where the muzzle's pointed, the other one is when you holster it. If that trigger is in a safe position, the gun will not fire.
And like I was saying, some countries even don't even allow their citizens to keep a round in the chamber, and they actually teach those techniques but they teach those techniques religiously, and they can do it pretty fast, where they can bring the gun up, put a round in, and by the time it's almost coming into motion for them to actually get on target, it already has a round into it, and so you have to, if you're going to do that, make sure you dry fire, you practice, but dry firing only teaches you so much. So when you get out here and dry fire and you do it without a round in it, you're creating a bad habit in your mind. So what you need to do is take some classes from some expert instructors and figure out how can I draw and keep a round in chamber, and what's my reaction time to that. And there's several different courses you can take. You can take some intermediate to advanced courses on pistol work. You can also take force on force classes. That's another primary reason that you'll realize you need a round in the chamber. And then you can then once you do that, then you can say, okay, is this for me, or if it's not for me? If you don't feel comfortable keeping a round in the chamber, don't carry. Because it's the same technique. Because you can never, you have to realize the threat can come on you very fast, especially if the aggressor has a non-firing weapon like a hammer, bat, or a knife.
And in the same instance, where you don't have a round in the chamber and you decide that you have to draw the firearm, you're now making another motion, right? And this was told to me by some people who do carry this way, and they've been around, and they've been called veteran carrying people. They say it's a deterrent, because when the person hears that round racking, that's television. That's television. Life happens like this. So, threat now. It's not, oh, I see a threat, I'm going to draw. Now, if you're a person and you in say a grocery store, and you hear the grocery store is being held up, and you decide that you're going to get involved, and you want to chamber it around that way, that's one thing. You're being slick with it. But when it comes to reality and things that happen most of the time, if you look at real force encounters in real life, it's fast.
Yeah,
it's fast.
it's within a couple of seconds. And so you got to think about that. You can't just be pulling a gun, showing the force, pulling a gun, racking around, pointing at somebody, thinking that's going to be a deterrent. In some states, it's against the law. Okay. Brandishing. You can't fire warning shots. That's against the law. So you got to think about, if I'm going to unholster this firearm and I'm going to point it at something, I better have the will to actually go through with what I'm getting ready to go through. And you need to decide that the day you holster up, the day you rack around in your chamber and put your gun in your holster, your mind needs to be made up.
It goes along with the EDC theory. EDC is everyday carry, so you're going to carry a gun every day. Every day you have to put in your mind that you're willing to fight and do whatever it takes for yourself and your family and whoever else you decide to defend. And some people need defending and some people don't. And I'm telling you, it's factual. And you can see it all the time. People get involved in something and find out the person that they helped really wasn't. It was more like a ne'er-do-well than an actual person that they should have helped.
Right. So it's a lot to think about, and it's something to consider, especially all you new gun owners out there. You guys need to be out there. If you're not familiar with your firearm, if you haven't put at least a couple hundred rounds in the range with your firearm, take some classes from somebody who knows what they're doing. Learn some things, especially if you concealed carrying. Learn how to draw from the position, you know. Learn how to shoot from the sitting position. Learn how to shoot from a kneeling position. Learn how to shoot from a standing position. Learn how to move.
Learn
and shoot.
when to shoot as well.
Yeah.
The other thing, you can go out and you can become a 1 second draw and shoot person. That's great. But when should you shoot?
Take a use of force class taught by a state or a local law enforcement officer that you can learn the laws on use of force in your state, the same laws that the police have, and so you won't get yourself in trouble. You can't kill everybody.
Right.
So you know, I mean, and you end up in the prison with the
Ne'er-do-wells.
right. Thank everybody for the YouTube support. Thank everybody for the Instagram support, and we'll see you on the range.
See you on the range, guys.
All right.